Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a couple sports related hot takes from Reddit to read and discuss while playing some Minecraft. Before I start, can I get a quick vibe check? How are you doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. From where I'm from, the weather outside is amazing. I'll probably go out after recording. If you aren't doing the best today, hopefully I am able to change that. In the last episode, we finished looting the village and started exploring for a place to settle. On the way, we found an ocean ruin and found a buried treasure map. We left off last episode on the way to find the buried treasure. Anyways, let me stop yapping and get into these hot takes. So first, I'll be starting with some NBA hot takes. So the thread that I'll be reading off of is titled, "Give me your hottest NBA takes. The hotter, the better." We will be reading some of these takes, some of the replies, giving our own opinions, or my own opinions, and you could feel free to leave down in the comments if you agree with the take or not. So the first take says, most stars are interchangeable, and it's actually the role players that make or break a team. Now, the first part, I'm not so sure if I agree on. All stars, like when I'm talking about stars, I mean the top 10 players. These guys don't really play the same. You can't really put a team that's built for, let's say, LeBron James and then swap LeBron for Curry. I don't think Curry, Luka, AR, this team wouldn't work, to be honest. It works for LeBron, and honestly it doesn't even work for LeBron. It's kind of built for Luka now, to be honest. What I really agree with is the second part of this take, and it says, it's actually the role players that make or break a team. And I agree with that for sure. I mean, you could even look at the most recent finals, this year's finals, OKC versus Indiana. Sure, Shea is a top 3 player in the league right now. He's the league MVP. But he also had a really good supporting cast around him. Alex Caruso, Chet, J-Dub. J-Dub is an all-star though, but he was still a supporting cast. And then if you look at the Pacers, they don't really have that superstar caliber player like Shea, but they have well-rounded players that are deeper than OKC, and that's what got them there in the first place. Just how deep this team was. This team at times was 11 deep, and so I do believe that role players really make or break a team, and teams should stop trying to build off of 2 superstars. They should try to build a well-balanced team, a deep team, so that when your superstar needs that rest and goes 16 games deep in the playoffs, plus like 70 plus games in the regular season, that they're able to get as much rest as possible. But yeah, let's read one of these replies. Depends on how the team is built and what the actual usage is, but I would tend to agree. If you take Jokic off the Nuggets, they would be a bottom feeder. Once you get out of the high tier superstars, you get into a tier like your Halliburtons, Mitchells, and Brunsons and Cunninghams. It's the different playstyles as stars that go with the role players that can make or break a team. This is exactly what I was saying. Curry, LeBron, Giannis, Jokic, they all have different playstyles. So you can't really put a Curry playstyle with like a Jokic playstyle because they play differently. The role players will play differently, right? That's what this player is saying. It's the different playstyles as stars that go with the role players that make or break a team. So I agree with that. And then another reply says, I think it really depends on what you consider a star, because there are also levels to it. Some of the guys commonly touted as stars are sadly not built to be go-to guys and would need top tier help, which is nearly impossible in the current CBA, which are the rules, the salary cap, to make his team a contender on that role. And yeah, I agree. And I really think about this, and I guess this is my own hot take, is that the championship window for a team is the first 8 years of drafting a superstar. For having a superstar on a rookie contract and having a star on their rookie extension is the cheapest you'll ever get them. So you gotta capitalize on this window, in my opinion. So I think the Spurs going all in is not a bad idea because you need to capitalize within these next 5-6 years of Wemby, and you don't know if he will stay healthy, right? He does look variable, but you gotta capitalize on these next 5-6 years. And I think, by drafting Dylan Harper, by trading for De'Aaron Fox, by drafting Stephon Castle, they put themselves in a good position to maybe even sign a big free agent or trade De'Aaron Fox for another piece. But yeah, let's read another hot take, NBA hot take. Another user says they should have an Offensive Player of the Year category instead of just an MVP. Now, do I necessarily agree with this take? No, not really. I think they should have, or they could have, an Offensive Player of the Year category or award, but they shouldn't take out the MVP award just for it. Because the game is a two-way game. You gotta consider how valuable a team is, not only on the offensive side, but the defensive side. I know defense is getting harder to play year in and year out, but it's still a part of the game. It's still one half of the game, technically. So I think they should definitely have an Offensive Player of the Year, especially how talented the upcoming generations are and will be. But you still always need an MVP. It's always a staple in any type of sport. You can't just abolish it. Let's read some of these replies. How would you differentiate Offensive Player of the Year and scoring title? A reply to that reply says efficiency, assists, assist to turnovers, and etc. A player who wins a scoring title with 33 points a game but shoots 41% is not a better offensive player than someone scoring 29 points a game on 50%. Carmelo won a scoring title, and there were at least 5 guys more valuable offensively that year. And yeah, so this is what I'm saying. Offensive Player of the Year, I don't mind it being an award. I really don't mind because you should highlight efficiency, high scoring, playmaking. Sure, it should be highlighted, should be celebrated, but it should not take MVP away. That's kind of what I'm hinting at. Another hot take, Another hot take is players should be paid based on their injury likelihood. Now this is an interesting one, and honestly I'm not sure what the replier meant by this. I'm assuming it's if a player is less likely to get injured, they get paid more, and if they are likely to get injured, they get paid less. So like a Zion, even though he can score 27 at night, if he only can play 20 games a year, most likely play 20 to 30 games a year, then he should only be paid like 8 million. Opposed to someone who can score 15 points a game but play at least 70 games, right? He might get paid like 20, 25 million. And do I agree with the take? Not really. I don't think a player's salary should be just based on how likely they are to get injured or not. Because injury is just, it's something you can't really control. Yes, you can try to prevent it with stretching, constant cardio, etc. But it's not, in the end, it's just something that you can't control most of the time. So I don't think their pay should be based on how likely they are to get injured. A reply to that reply says, that may be hot, but damn if it's not a solid take. Add a clause for more pay if they get over a threshold of games played. And then another reply says, that would be smart. If a player has missed 20% of the games in his career, he's only eligible for 80% of the pay. Okay, now that's an interesting way of putting it, honestly. If they miss 20%, he's only eligible for 80% of the pay. So if If he misses 50, he's eligible for 50. If he misses 80, he's only eligible to 20. Yes, but again, it's just something you can't go and you can't control that. Now I do agree that a clause should be made, and I feel like, I mean, so many stars got injured. I mean, Tatum, Lillard, Tyrese. I'm probably forgetting one more, but these guys are getting injured often. I'm not sure why, and so I think it would be smart to maybe lower the salary a little bit, but also add a clause for playing games, because it advises people to already like they already advise people to not sit out by making league awards like 70, I think, games minimum. But yeah, adding a clause, if the player wants to get as much money as possible, they need to stay healthy. Of course, it's not under control, but they can try to stay healthy, eat good, eat healthy. I'm talking to you, Zion. Nah, I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, let's read another hot take here. And this one kind of hits home as a Lakers fan or a LeBron fan, but I'll follow the Lakers. It says Luka won't sign long term with the Lakers. I think if he was asked right now to, he probably would be hesitant to sign a deal. He's only played there for half a season. However, the management has shown signs that they are leaning to listen to whatever Luka wants. And I spoke about this in my very first video. I don't like how the situation is being dealt there in LA. I feel like they're disrespecting LeBron, what he has brought to the team the past 7 years, the relevancy he has brought, the accolades he has brought, his effort. And they're just prioritizing Luka, who has only been there for half a year, right? I think after this year, I think he will, honestly, because they are building a team around him, and they have a solid enough team. And the thing is, you can't trade LeBron. Nobody wants to give a lot for a 1, maybe 2 year rental for LeBron. So even if you were to trade LeBron, you wouldn't get much in return. And when LeBron retires, you're not getting anything in return for him. So what is the future of this team? I don't think AR, Luka, and DeAndre Ayton is going to do enough for this team. They're going to need that third solid option that plays defense to something like a J-Dub or Siakam. They need that type of player, but besides that, on the take, I think he will sign long term. Just right now, I think he would be a little bit hesitant too. We're just going to have to see how the next season goes, honestly. A reply to that reply says, I think you will. The Lakers have rolled out the red carpet for him and are even blowing LeBron off in favor of Luka. I love to see him leave and go to a small market team though. And this is what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. They're blowing off LeBron, who has been the face of the franchise since Kobe, since those terrible years in LA where Kobe was just too old and his surrounding cast was just so young and inexperienced. He's been the face of the league. He brought them a championship. He's been an all-star ever since he's been there. And he's been trying. It's not like he's not trying to win. He's been trying to win. But those 7 years didn't matter. They value this half a year of Luka, and they're really prioritizing that future with Luka. So I think if Luka does see it right, he will. Obviously, I don't mind him going to a small market team. I honestly, the way LA is handling this, I hope Luka doesn't sign there. I hope LA realizes how bad they treat their stars. But yeah, I don't think it's a hot take. Honestly, I could see him going either way, especially when you're making that hot take right now. I don't think it's a hot take. I could see him going both ways. If you said that maybe a year from now when Luka and LeBron make it like to Western Conference Finals and their team looks good, it might be a hot take. But for now, I agree. It's not a hot take. And let's read some of these replies. Some other replies. They say, where would he sign? I think Denver or San Antonio if he left. So some people are saying Dallas takes him back. He doesn't think. Some people think he wouldn't even go there because Nico Harrison. He would say people are saying he would join Tatum and Brown in Boston. I don't think so. San Antonio or Miami. I think San Antonio or Denver are good shouts, or at least San Antonio and wherever Jokic is. Um, I think that's a good shout, honestly, if Luka were to not sign, but I think he will sign. Anyways, I think that's enough for NBA takes. I think we should go to F1 and we should read some of the hot takes. So, the title of the discussion or the thread that I'll be reading off of is titled, "What are your hot takes for next season?" So, the first hot take, or the first reply here, or the most liked actually, is that Williams will win at least one race and Haas will finish on the podium. Now, I believe the Williams is powered by Mercedes, which is reported to have the best engine going into next season's regulation. I don't know about their driver situation. I don't know like if Sainz and Albon are both signed to multi-year contracts. But if they are, let's say both of them go into, I think they could definitely win a race, at least one race. It's so unpredictable next season. We don't know what the cars will look like, especially from a fan POV. We just have rumors to go off of, and if Mercedes really do have that engine advantage that moves Verstappen to Mercedes even, possibly, then it's not far-fetched to say Williams will win at least one race. Now to the second part of the hot take, Haas will finish on a podium. Do I really think the Ferrari PU mixed with the drivers of Ocon and Behrman is enough to win at least one podium? Maybe. I would say, like, of course, again, it's unpredictable. I'm not really sure how maybe Ferrari has the best PU and they're just not saying anything, right? I doubt it, because Hamilton did say that the cars are slow, but I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna go out on the limb and say I think Behrman can get one podium next season. Just one. One out of the 25 races, I think he can get one. And I'm hoping he gets one because he's been especially in the start of the season, he's been very exciting to watch. Very aggressive, but also safe to an extent. But yeah, hopefully he wins a podium. A reply to that says, if Haas takes a podium, it'll be by luck in a changing condition or otherwise oddity type of race. That's exactly what I'm thinking, like a Hulkenberg type of race. Not to discredit Hulkenberg, but something that like the Haas just really fits that circuit, and then they have some type of conditions where it turns wet and everyone makes the wrong read, but it's just slightly wet, something like that. Let's read the next hot take. Williams and Aston Martin will be very competitive. That's the first part, and the second part is not hot take, but Red Bull is about to become a midfield team that gets slapped by the race leader, even if Max stays. That's how shit the car will be. Let's talk about the first part. Williams and Aston Martins will be very competitive. Now this is also just going back to the fact that Mercedes has a big PU advantage. And if the rumors are true, then of course I think Williams and Aston Martin will be very competitive. Now, do I think they have the drivers to? Williams does. I don't think Aston Martin does, personally. I don't think a lineup of, Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll is enough to move me. Now, realistically, maybe they should switch out Alonso, honestly. Now, I don't really see them doing that because he's not terrible. He was terrible the first few races, got a little unlucky, but he has been finding decent form now. If you asked me this maybe 3 races ago, I would have said, maybe they should swap out Alonso, maybe he should retire, but I don't feel the same way or as strongly about that opinion anymore. If I was to be realistic, I would have a lineup of like George Russell and Alonso, maybe. I think Alonso should be a second driver, but hey, we don't know. I think the car itself will be very competitive for sure. The Mercedes PU, it sounds like it's amazing, but Williams already have the drivers, has the Mercedes PU, so I don't think this was a hot take. Honestly, I agree with this take. I think they should be competitive. They should both be in the top 5 for sure, with Mercedes, McLaren, and also we don't know who the other team is. Sorry, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, and the 2 other Mercedes cars. I think we'll round up the top 5 in the constructors. Going to the second, I'm already talking about it. I don't see Red Bull being a top 5 team, even with or without Max. I think this car, what they've done to fire Horner, to what's his name, Adrian Newey leaving, I just don't see this car being competitive anytime soon. So yeah, I agree. They're probably a mid-tier team, probably getting lapped. I don't even know what their drive situation is. I don't think they're bringing back Tsunoda, even though I believe in Tsunoda. Yeah, let's read some of these replies. They say exactly. The upper management have to be fools to think firing Horner was the solution to reversing their downward trajectory. They've shot themselves in the foot, and their performance slope will only ever get steeper from here on. And that's exactly what I've been saying. They're just making bad move after bad move. And I just don't see Red Bull like being a top 5 constructor next year, honestly. Let's read the next reply here. Sorry, give me a second. The poster of the actual post's hot take was, my hot take, if Russ and Verstappen ever becoming teammates at Merc, a lot of people are going to be surprised by Russell because of how close it will be between them throughout the season. Now, I want to emphasize that big if. Truly, I do not believe Russell and Verstappen will ever be teammates. Verstappen, they dislike each other, they don't hate each other, but I think a Kimi and Max pairing just makes so much more sense for Mercedes. Russell going to Aston Martin or Red Bull makes much more sense. But I agree. I think it will surprise a lot of people. It could be a lot closer than people think. I still think Verstappen will. You could think of it like as a Verstappen Perez. Perez might win, a couple races, maybe be a couple races. In a couple races be close. But I think Verstappen still takes that edge. But it will surprise a lot of people that Russell is still able to win while being on the same team as Verstappen. I think that's true. I think this is a good take, honestly, by Op. And then I'll read the reply to it, and somebody says, I feel Russell will have the edge in the first half of the season. Verstappen is the best driver on the grid, but he's been driving a Red Bull that's been tailored to him for 9 years. No way he's jumping into Mercedes with a completely different power unit, among other things, and dominating Russell, who in my opinion is the second best driver on the grid right now. Yeah, that's totally fair. You could look at Hamilton right now. He had a kind of mediocre first half or first quarter of the season. But he's gotten used to it. He's getting consistent top 5 placements. I think he had a P7 in one race. But yeah, I think you could expect the same thing for Max. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be it for today, honestly. It was a good discussion talking about NBA F1. If you guys enjoyed the video, please come back to the next video, leave a like, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.